Things I did not know about opiate addiction until I became an HFET addict. I knew nothing about withdrawal. Yes, I had heard the term dope sickness before and withdrawal, but I never really comprehended or knew like the seriousness of it. I definitely didn't know it could be life-threatening. Before I was addicted to opiates, I had tried many substances for the last 10 years prior to trying my first opiate. I had never experienced any type of like serious withdrawal from those substances, so when I did try my first opiate, yerks, I wasn't really too worried about it, and I definitely didn't think it was going to be life-threatening. Opiates, or really any substance once you become addicted, controls your entire life, and if that's not controlling you, then your plug is. Your plug decides when you get it and how much, no matter if you have the money, you don't have the money, if you pay for a certain amount. He's bringing it to you on his time and his time only. He doesn't give a fuck if you're sick. So if you're not constantly worried about the plug bringing it to you, you're worried about your own circumstance and finding that substance, and that's the only thing you care about. Everything else does not matter but that substance and not being sick. After the first time you use that substance, you will never feel that perfect feeling again. I had heard this forever, never really thought about it until I did it. For me, I would say it was a little different. I don't know, for me, it felt pretty damn good every time I used it up until like my tolerance built, because once that tolerance builds, and with opiates it builds extremely quickly, you have to keep doing more and more to reach that peak high, and eventually you're just doing it no matter how much you do just to get right and just to feel better. So yeah, you're basically always chasing something that is unattainable. I also knew nothing about tolerance. Now, everyone's situation is different, but for me, I did work during addiction, so I would work all day, every day, 6-7 days a week, 14-15 hours a day, for nothing. Literally every single dollar went to that substance, outside like $1 for gas, $2 for food, $5 for dog food, like real dog food. But other than that, you're working 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week for nothing. You can't take a day off. Otherwise, you're going to be sick. Now, for other people that are homeless or don't work, they have to hustle and steal all day. I don't know anything about that situation, but I can't imagine what kind of hell that is. I was living in hell, but I can't imagine what that was like or how it's even comparable. I also never realized how often you have to use. When I thought of addicts, I just thought they were using every day. I didn't really think of it like an all-day thing, but with opiates, you have to use every 4 to 6 hours, especially with vet, every 4 to 6 hours to not be sick. With H, it's a little different. It can be a little bit longer, sometimes 24 hours, so you would only have to use once a day. Most people aren't doing that. But with vet, you have to use, and for some people, every 2 to 3 hours. It leaves that fast, I promise you. Not to mention, that shit is expensive as fuck. Honestly, before I was an opiate addict, I always heard that like H, and really just H, was super cheap. Like, people on the streets were doing it. It was a $5, $10, $15 habit. No, you're spending $200, $300, $400, $500 a day, depending on your situation or circumstance. And we wonder why so many homeless people are addicts. They've sold their entire life for that substance. That's how addictive that shit is. Also, very poor quality of life, if you haven't realized that already. So I wrote some things down. I lived without water, running water. I lived without electricity. A lot of people are homeless. I was hotel hopping, so yes, I was homeless and hotel hopping. You can't afford food. I was eating like 1 time a week, if that. You can't afford gas. I was putting like $1 to $2 in gas every other day. You can't afford to buy anything. Like I said, you are working 50, 60, 70 hours a week. So the type of things that you want to spend, like the fun things, your nails, clothes, vacations, you can't buy anything. You get to buy one thing, your substance, and hopefully some crackers to get you through. And then if you have pets, a lot of people have pets before they get into addiction, And then once that addiction happens, you can't afford them anymore. You can't afford their food. You can't take them to the vet. If something happens, what are you going to do? And isolation. If your friends and family don't abandon you, you're probably isolating yourself from them. So it becomes very lonely. Maybe you don't feel lonely because you have your substance, but it's lonely. And to sum it all up, pure hopelessness, because everything in your life is destroyed and you have nothing, and you did it to yourself. So it's hard to get out of, and it feels impossible. So I'm sure I'm missing plenty of more things. If you want to fill me in with your opinions, but like I always say, there is help out there. There are people that want to help. I love you, babies.